Okay, let's begin. So what we are aiming at today is setting up a combat component from scratch on our mockup. Well, not on our mockup. We need to go into examples, maps, and we need sword and shield. And this is exactly where we will be working with. Let's just set up one character that is not controlled by any player here, so he can be a target. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's go here, melee combat character. Whatever I did, let's just delete that and do it again, because I was just reminding myself how my own component worked, like init combat. Okay, so we need for sure a custom event that will be called event init combat component. And by the way, I ordered a new microphone that is on its way. It should be here tomorrow, and I will stop spitting into the microphone constantly once it's done. I can't wait. Okay, we're deleting that, yes, and we're deleting that, yes, and we're deleting that, and we're deleting everything so we can set it up ourselves again. Okay. So we're compiling, and first of all we need to add the component, obviously. So we can add combat component, and there is stuff that inside the combat component we can just set up by default. We don't have to use anything for that, any events. So let's do that. We don't care about default attacks. There are no animations, montages that we'll be using. Combo, auto reset time, it's unimportant for us. Debug, yes, we want to see what we are doing. Collision, start, socket, end socket, let's call them start and stop. And let's call them start and stop from small letter, because on default all sockets are named with small letters. Melee collision precision 10, that's not really much, let's do 30. And melee collision channel will be, well, it's a channel. It could be as well. Maybe I could change it to be a object type, then it would be pawn. But on the other hand, capsule component is a pawn, as far as I know. Yeah, it's a pawn. Okay, so capsule component is not blocking either camera nor visibility, yet our mesh is blocking visibility, but it's not blocking camera. So we'll be using visibility as the channel, but we can also use projectile as the channel for our weapon. So whatever that is blocking projectiles would be blocking our melee combat. That actually makes sense. So as we already have this extra channel, let's just use projectiles as a general weapon collision channel. We want to trace complex collision. Not really, it's not that much important for us. We can use simplified collision as well. Hit, ignore classes. This can be an empty array, so that's not really a problem. Or I think it must have something. No, I think it can be empty. So let's just leave it as is. Traces per second. So this is the precision of the collision, like how many points per second we want to draw. And I think we should use the FPS of animations, so 30. We don't need to increase that at all. Trace only on server. For now, we set it as not, so it's just it. Runtime variables, we are not doing anything regarding that. We don't care about auto aim. We're not using that at all. It is ticking, so it's fine. Replicated, it can auto activate, that's fine. Yeah, and that's everything. So now we have to actually do some setup here. So we need to do setup. Let's find authority collision preset. Is this one? No. Okay. setup activate collider. We need that one for sure, and we need also set up combo reset, remove from ignore list, debug default attacks. Okay, register collision mesh. And register collision mesh, it's a non-replicated event, and let's see if it gets replicated on the here. So it is doing this and then running on server and then doing the same on the server, but it's not doing the same on every client. So we're doing only on local and on server. Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, but okay, yeah. So let's just do this. It doesn't have, this event doesn't have to be either, like we can do it run on owning client. That's fine, reliable. So collision by name will be sort, and we need this event twice because we want to also register shield. So this is sort component that we want to register as collider, and this is the shield component that we want also to register as a collider, and we'll call it shield. Okay, so we got those two colliders registered, and now we can call them by name. So we can do activate collider. So we can do try activate collider, and we can immediately try to activate colliders called sort, but we don't need to do it here because we'll be doing it in the animations themselves. So we just make this preset, and I think that's everything for now. So let's just say setup combat component. The rest of the setup we've done directly in the combat component itself. Okay, so now when we're doing event possess, we want to call setup combat, wait, how did we call it? Event init combat component, okay. Init combat, yeah, we're doing the same naming convention. So init. That's fine. We don't need this event. Okay. Init combat component, okay. So that's it, and now we need to specify some stuff on the attacks. So I already done that because this is a tedious task that takes a lot of time. You need to find all animations that are the attacks themselves. So not the charge, not the hold, but the release and attack. So any release or attack animation, you need to have this setup of animation notification. So the first animation notification is called activate weapon, and we specify weapon name, and it is case sensitive. So if we wrote here sword by big letter, we need to specify here sword as well. Clear other weapons means that if we are we can activate multiple weapons at once. This is for double wielding. So if our previous attack was shield, then our active collider would be the shield itself. So what we do is we clear all other weapons and then activate just a single weapon called sword. And then the second one is the AGR combat trace hit. And trace hit is a notification state, and it basically says that from this point to this point at our resolution, so 30 times per second, please try to do collisions. So if this starts at okay, so this takes only 2 frames and it is active for 0.174 seconds. So 0.174 times 30, it means we'll be doing 5 traces per this animation. That's a very rough trace, honestly, but 5 is more than enough to actually get the collision of the sword and everything that's online of it. So you do that on absolutely every attack, and there is one more thing we need to do. We need to go into our mesh, go into the mesh itself, find the skeleton, open the skeleton and add 2 sockets, start and stop. Oh, and I, by the way, called them with uppercase, so I have to yeah, I'm gonna have to change that in the configuration. So basically it goes from point A to point B. This starts here and ends here. And this is the sharp part that will be doing the trace itself. And we have to do the same for the shield. And for the shield, this is a bit tricky because we're not tracing a shape per se. And I might add to our combat component a possibility of not just doing, scene component that contains sockets, but actually trace a primitive. So you would be able to add a primitive shape and trace by this primitive shape. So what I've done here, I just looked how the animation of the shield bash looks like, and where's the shield? Oh, meshes, shield. Okay, here's the shield. And then I looked for where is the impact point of the shield usually. So it is tilted in a way that if I do a line here, that's actually fine. Okay, so we got those. Let's go back into our melee character. Let's go back into Combat Master and let's do that again. So big start, big stop. That's fine. Compile, save. Okay, so we've done almost everything so that our traces can actually happen, and because we got debug by default, yeah, we can try to run it first on single player. So now, if I am attacking, you can see those traces. They are barely visible, but if I go slow-mo, 0.2, and you can see that for a first-person game, this is very precise, and this is only 30 traces per weapon, and we are not registering any hits right now, but we will in a second. Oh, I mean, we do register hit, but we're not doing anything with the hit, but we can see exactly how many hits on what elements we can get. So this is super precise. And let's do a stab. Come on, come on, come on, come on, mate. Yeah, so this also registers. Okay, so we are registering hits right now. Everything is fine. So let's use those hits for something. So click here, add event, and we got begin attack, end attack, which we need to implement. I will show, oh no, actually not begin attack because this is for the combo system. We need begin hit trace, and we need end hit trace, okay? And we need hit trace itself, so handle registered hit. Okay, so we got this, and we got this. So if we just go from this and say that whenever we hit something, we want to do a, let's say, debug sphere. Draw debug sphere, and we want to, I don't know, deal damage, apply damage, obviously. And we can even apply point damage because we have hit information. Break, and we know that we are applying this damage to whom? So this is the hit actor, the damage type will be damage type, base damage will be, let's say, 1, and instigator is self, and with self, and damage causer is the controller object reference, which is the controller. And now the damage causer is important because inside the controller class, let's go into controller, I can show you how it works. Inside the controller class, you have this special function that said instigate, event receive instigate any damage. That's a bit complex, right? So it means that this triggers whenever any pawn weapon or anything that this controller got ownership over deals damage, you get information about that damage. You get the damaged actor, you get the damage causer, which is usually a weapon, you get the damage type and damage value. So you can drive this for combat text that you want to display on screen of person that is dealing the damage. And if you do it here, it will only trigger when you get this event dispatched by the server, and it's being replicated down to the owning client, and you get this, and you can run it on the owning client himself, and no one else will see this information except of you. Okay, so we're not implementing that here. What we are doing right now, we don't need this. What we're doing right now is we're just applying damage because we are the server, we are playing locally, and then location, no, impact point. Very specific impact point 20, thickness 1, duration, let's say 1 second, line color, let's say it will be red. Okay, so now whenever we hit something, we draw a debug line and we deal 1 damage, and then we can do print string, and we can print this damage, because why not? And we're printing for 1 second, exactly like drawing the spheres. So we're doing this. Hit from direction. Okay, so hit from direction is it's basically the trace start, which we are feeding forward, I guess. No, it will be location. Okay, so this is the direction. Okay, and damage and everything. Okay, compile, save. Now, if we run this now, run. And now once I hit this guy, boom, you get a lot of hits. Oh, let's make them smaller. Like 20 is too much. Let's make it 10. And let's make the thickness 0.2. And okay, and do it again. So the precision is big enough for us to register this many hits on this guy. But we don't want to deal damage based on our frame rate, right? Because if I go slow-mo 0.1 and I attack now, I will actually deal the same amount of damage, because the trace is based on a timer, so it's independent from our tick rate. So this is what we get. Come on, attack from a side. Yeah, that's a bit too much. If we go slow-mo 2, we still get the same fidelity of hits. It doesn't matter if we have high frame rate or low frame rate, we'll still do 30 traces per second. Doesn't matter what the frame rate is. Even if we go slow-mo crazy, like 5, we're still doing the same amount of trace. So basically this is using a very simple version of substepping. Okay, let's go back here. So now we don't want to do that. We don't want to deal massive amount of absurd damage. We want to deal damage once, okay? So we need to have a variable called hit actors inside wherever we are implementing this combat master component. So we can do it inside this character, we can do it inside another component, we can do it inside an ability object, we can do it in many places, but we need to register actors. So take an actor object, type, reference, okay, array, and it doesn't have to be instance editable, doesn't matter. So we're getting actors and we're saying, hey, does it contain this item, which is the hit actor? And if it says no, our hit actors doesn't contain this actor that we just hit, we're saying cool, do that stuff that we already did. However, when you finish doing that stuff, take hit actors and then add unique. I mean, this unique is just in case that for any reason this would trigger twice. So I don't know what would happen for this to trigger twice, but just in case, add unique. And if we already hit that actor, it is added to the array. So if we hit him again, it says, oh, it contains false. So then it will say contains true, and we're doing, well, then don't deal any damage, right? So this is damage. So now if we play and we do an attack, we will do just once. And by the way, sword and shield are parts of the actor, so they are a component. So because they are a component, you can deal damage to them. We can change that and we can say that, hey, cast it to character class, and if it is a character, then check if the hit component is the mesh, and only if it's the mesh, then do stuff. But we want the sword to be able to hit other sword, and we want the sword to be able to hit the shield. Okay, so hit actors. Okay, but now when we finish our trace, or we start an attack, or we end an attack, in both cases we want to clear this array, because we are starting a new attack, and when we start a new attack, we want to be able to deal damage to the same actor again, right? So now let's go here and do this. Bam, bam, one hit, one hit, one hit, one hit, one hit, one hit, one hit. And now, why is it recording in this place? It's because we took the impact point, and the impact point is not the same as hit location. So if we go into hit location instead of impact point, it will be for a multi-trace a different place basically. So now when I hit, oh no, it's still going here. Okay, slow-mo 0.2. Show collision. Okay, so let's see collision on everything. You can see collision on the swords. On the shield, there's actually a lot of just very rough shapes. On the component itself, and we're doing a hit, and we are registering a hit here, here. Okay, here. Okay, so that's in general fine. We are hitting where we are aiming. It's not perfectly as we would like, because if I am doing this attack, for some reason it is not always registering collision with his head body. But probably if we would increase the resolution, let's say, to 60 traces per second, so that would be 10 traces per attack. Maybe now it will register. If now we go slow-mo 0.2, if we swing, you will see that the shape that our sword is drawing is a lot more fluent. Twice as fluent, actually. It's less rough, it doesn't have such a rough edges, and it still registers. Okay, it registers the first point from all points. Okay, I understand why this is happening. So we are tracing 30 points on the sword from the base to the top. But if I go to the sword, because it always starts with start and ends with stop. So if I go here, and I will just do this little small cheat and move this here and this here. Now we are actually switching the order of our traces. So first trace comes from the tip of the blade, and the last trace comes from the bottom of the blade. So now let's save everything. Let's hit play, and now we should be more often registering the tip hit. Yeah. So now we will register what we wanted to register. And we can improve the precision of those by using the impact point. And now let's see. Oh yes, okay, so now this is the first impact point. Okay, this is exactly as we wanted. So now we have this, and we want it to be multiplayer, right? So first of all, we can just go and test if it's multiplayer, because we're saying that it doesn't trace only on server, but it doesn't mean it's not tracing on server. It is. So let's go and start for 2 players in a second. Okay, I was checking if I am recording the entire display. I was wondering if maybe by any reason I screwed something up, but it's fine. So we're not playing standalone, we're playing as clients. And it will throw us some errors, and I will tell you why. So we are registering on server and client. And one of the clients, he doesn't, like he sees the traces, but he has a problem with registering colliders. So what we can do, we can go here and say that this on only client, if we go and do it as multicast, I mean, it shouldn't be multicasted. That's the wrong way to do it, but it should stop the errors. No, it still does the errors. Okay, so I made a failsafe for that. Just run it on owner client. That's fine. We don't care about those errors, because eventually we will just be doing trace only on server. We're not tracing only on server, just for testing purposes. So now we go here and we go here and we got this guy, and he's tracing, as you can see, in both windows. And he is registering hits. Like the remote client will not see my, oh, he will see my hits. So he's actually projecting his own hits, which might be different than my hits. However, they mostly are not. They are sometimes different, but in general, they are in the same general area and location. Okay, so let's attack again. But now we see that something is broken, and we're trying to deal damage and do stuff both on the server and on the client. So we're registering 2 hits right now. And why is that? Okay, let's see. For that, I will have to go into our combat master and edit it for a second. And I need to go into handle registered hit. Okay, so this is a multicast delegate. Okay, awesome. So now I know why this is happening. So when our server registers a hit, we are doing stuff twice. So basically, one of those hits is made by our client and one is made by our server. So let's now distinguish them. Let's do a switch authority. So if we are remote, what we want to do is, well, do this, because this is non-replicated, and if it is false, then we want to throw the debug, but we don't want to apply damage, because we cannot apply damage. Apply damage works only on server, so we don't have authority over that anymore. So we will do this, and now this will be happening only on authority. However, we'll still need to do that as well as we did before. So we have to register these actors, check if it's already here. If it's not, then do this, and we still need to say tell our array that if we hit something, we need to do this. Okay. So now let's see what will happen. We are running two clients. Okay, so now we got one debug draw, and we see that our server is saying 1, which means that server dealt 1 damage, and we registered 1 hit. And if we go to this guy, we can do the same, and we can see that he is registering hits and dealing damage, but are our hits the same as the server hits? We can compare that, right? Because if server hits, so if authority, we can do a custom event, call this custom event show server hit, and show server hit will be well, it can be multicast reliable, and show server hit will be just doing debug draw, that's it, nothing more to it, at some point, and it will be the color of green, and thickness will be 0.5, so it will be very thick, and we will be doing it here. So we're doing server draw, no, how did we call it? Show server hit. Okay, show server hit. I need to make a naming convention, and this we can read directly from the impact point, because it will be read on the server and pushed forward to the event, replicated as a vector here and done here. Okay, show server hit. So now we can compare if our hits are the same as the server, and I already know that they won't. So let's go here and let's hit this guy. Okay, and we can see that they are in completely different places. See that? They are sometimes close to each other, but they are off. And you can even see the traces from client and server. And why is that? It's because we are switching animations when we are going into first person. So once I go into first person, my pose is adjusting, and because of this adjustment, I'm actually aiming at different parts of the body. So from my perspective, I am aiming directly at the head, but from the server perspective and multiplayer guy, so yeah, this guy here looking at me, I'm actually aiming at this guy's shoulder. So when I swing, I hit this guy from my perspective on the top of the head. From the server perspective, I hit him in the ear. So sometimes when I hit someone in the elbow, I might actually not register a server hit. And on multiplayer view, I'm also not registering a hit. Same goes with my shield bash. I am holding shield differently on first person perspective. So I do hit the enemy here, but at some point, I will just register hit locally, and if you look how I'm holding the shield here, how ridiculously close, no wonder I'm not hitting anything, right? So I am hitting something from my perspective, but not from the server perspective. And if you look at the third person player, it's absolutely right. If I switch to this mode, now I am aligning the collider with the server, and they almost hit the same spots. So now I will not see big difference between those, unless I'm in first person again. So when working with this animation, you need to keep in mind that if you switch poses, if you make different animations, the animations attacks must be the same length, the same speed of animation, and they need to move on the general same trajectory. Otherwise, they will break. It's also same for the first person aim offset. Like, I don't know what he's doing. He was doing some strange blends. Okay, so our aim offset is that we are rotating in place, basically, perfectly, instantly. However, on multiplayer, we have an aim offset with some nice, good-looking blend. So I am moving instantly, But you can see in the multiplayer window, I'm actually not. So if I'm making an attack, this attack will not be as fast as I am. So the way to do that is to fix that. It will not look as good, but it will work perfectly on multiplayer. We go into our init animation master, and here, desired rotation at angle, we are switching that, and what we're doing is character rot yaw, and that's it. And basically we invalidated all those three values, and we are using control rotation yaw. And we are using control rotation yaw absolutely, so we don't need to switch this one anymore. So we can just ignore that one, and now we hit play. And now our aim offset is irrelevant because we are rotating at the exact same speed. Oh, wait. I still need to do that. I forgot. Yeah, again. Come on. So now I am rotating at the same speed. So I am rotating perfectly, and if I do an attack while rotating, it will be the same on the server and on the client, and we have bigger chance of actually hitting on the same location. And if we go into third person, then we are absolutely hitting the same locations by our component, and we don't see really a difference between the red orbs and the green ones because they are being spawned on the same places. And the green one is thicker, so it's covering the red one completely. Maybe let's change that. And we'll do a draw debug box instead of sphere. And center of the box will be this, and the extent of the box will be 10, 10, and 10, and the line color will be this green, and rotation will be, doesn't matter, duration will be 1, and thickness will be 0.2. So we'll be doing a box on the server and a sphere on the client. Okay, so it will be easier to read. So now yeah, okay, and we go here, let's go into Shift F1 into full screen. Okay, I've done some strange things with the aim offset here. Never mind. But what I wanted to show you is the traces themselves. So they're still a bit off. But just a bit. Okay, so let's go back here. Let's. That looks just terrible. Let's get back to the Z rotation at angle as it was, and let's say everything is as it was, because this is my default multiplayer setting anyway with this aim offset type. So what we would have to do is just adjust the animations a bit. So if we are moving the posture of our spine when we are switching to first person, what we also should do is move slightly the hand so the attack angle fits the angle of the third person animation, and that's pretty much it. So we can adjust things to look good in first person and in third person, and now we are doing it on server and client. Okay, here, go into full screen. Okay, so now we have those attacks on the server and on the client, so we can deal damage on the server and apply particles, for example, on the client. So let's do exactly that. Let's go here, and instead of drawing our melee combat character, yeah, this one, and we go here, here's damage. So this authority, on authority we're just applying damage, that's it. And on client, instead of drawing our debug sphere, and okay, so this, instead of drawing debug sphere, we'll be doing a spawn actor from class, and it will be the FX spawner. And this is the qubit from the other tutorial. So this is the Qubit FX powder. You might not have it in your project. This is from the Ballistics FX pack. You need to add the Ballistics FX pack, make, and then you can spawn this as well. So this is not that much important, so you can just take location. Rotation scale doesn't really matter because the hit result matters and you just get this hit. Ricochet vector doesn't matter. Decals attached, yes. FX size, small, particle, decals, pound. Yeah, sure, why not? Ricochet sound, ricochet particle, no. Impact speed doesn't matter. Ricochet exit velocity doesn't matter. Decal life 20 seconds, that's fine. Universal bullet, this is the base one, so that's fine. Everything is fine, and I also added this skip decal, which I added by custom. So if you go into this actor, if you go into this variable, you just go find reference, and it's just used once. And it is editable and exposed on spawn. And basically here in spawn decals event, after the first branch, you go into spawn decal, and if it says false, then you go directly to spawning sound. So first one is just checking the default stuff that it does inside this actor, and I didn't code it, so I didn't touch it, so I just added this extra branch. So that's it, that's the custom work. So yeah, we want to not spawn decals, but we do want to spawn the effects. And we don't need this, we don't need anything. We can do self-reference, and we can, if there is an owner here somewhere, yeah, there is an owner, also hit self. Okay. So let's see, and now we should start spawning particles based on physical materials. Okay, so wherever we hit, okay, so it works. So we're doing particles on hit. So we're doing plot and stuff, and damage is being handled by the server itself. But we can go even further with that, and we can say that, hey, AGR Combat Master, you should work only on the server, and this is, by the way, optimization, and this is a lot of optimization done in this way. So now, this will never happen, basically. Oh no, it will. So the server will be doing the trace, and then he will be doing this again, and he will say that, hey, if I am server and I got a hit, I will do damage, and if I am not a server and this is multicast, so the remote will just do this. Okay, so compile, save, and and I have to change it. This can't be multicast. This should be on server actually. For optimization, the reasons, and only because this is doing multiple hits, and then this is gatekeeping only one target, only one hit per swing. So what we should do is we should do multicast behind this gate. So but okay, for now let's do it like this. And this should still work exactly as it did. However, our particles will now spawn in a different location. Or not at all. Huh. Let's see. Okay, so now we're doing traces only on the server. Server is doing authority. And print string, hello, is this, oh, maybe I've done optimization of that already. Let's see. Yeah, it's not even saying hello, so it's working only on the server. Okay, that's fine. So now if it's working only on the server, what we need to do is we can ignore this gate, we can ignore this, and we can go straight to this. But this needs to be done on all. So instead of doing this debug draw, we'll be doing also this spawn of everything. However, if we have an input, we need to push it, and from here, break, we need to get location and push it here. So this entire thing is now independent from those values, because those values need to be pushed forward by the server to multicast, but it will be pushed once. And also on this multicast, because this is doing just visual stuff, we can do authority and say that meh, we don't care about authority here, this is just cosmetic. Okay, so this is just cosmetic, we don't care about that. You have fun with those. If you want to cheat anything here, have a blast, doesn't matter for us at all. So we're pushing this, and that's it. Okay. And by the way, location can be this center, so I can just delete this one, so I can delete this one, so I can compile. Okay, so now let's see. And okay, so I am now getting particles where the server hit, not where the client hit. Okay, let's do 2 clients on dedicated server. Okay, start playing. And now oh yeah, they both can see the particles. And you can see that this guy is getting hit, but now the collision is being handled only on the server. And the traces that we have here is just projected, and it should be projected on the client, so I will do something about that soon as well. I have to work on the combat component a bit more. But in general, oh, it didn't register. In general, it works, just the animation blueprint requires a lot more work for it to be more fluent and more precise. But this way you have precision hits for a, a gladiator game or something. You can do basically Mordhau with that. Okay, so I think that's it for today's episode. And yeah, see you guys soon.